break, make no mistake. It's a shake and bake.
What's up, Ramley? You are now in the kitchen with Chef Nixon for all your fixings for the latest and greatest VCU men's basketball. So, VCU had a game over the weekend going against the Salle. First conference game. How'd it go? Let's get into it. Now, first, I do want to apologize. I've been dealing with a lot of technical difficulties trying to get this new computer and stuff set up. But however, here we are. So let's get into it. LaSalle, they entered the game with a record of 6-7. Not really the best record. Not a horrible record. They played some quality teams leading up to this game. However, I don't think they really found themselves completely yet. They have a new coach, Coach Dunphy. Legendary coach out of Philadelphia. Has done a lot of great things. Even has a friendship with Coach K, who they met back in their military days. So he's trying to get this team in order and change the culture there. So they feel as if they had a character building win. Speaking with the SID over the weekend, they feel they had a character win against Howard, and you got to give Howard some credit, right? They played VCU pretty tough, and they played LaSalle pretty tough as well. However, LaSalle beat them out in overtime. So I understand LaSalle has one of the things they've been struggling with is trying to find the best way to win, trying to find the right personnel to play with each other, the right chemistry. With that, they've had a lot of different lineups in and out, a lot of different switch ups, almost as much as us dealing with the injuries and stuff. So they're really trying to get it together and find out, find their true identity, who's going to be their go-to guy. And with that, they do have a three-headed monster. They have three guards: Khalil Brantley, Jameer Brickus, and Josh Nickelberry. Brantley, to start off, is a small guard. As you all seen, small guard, loves to put it on the ground, get to the cup. When I went to the shoot around, he was the most vocal player in the gym, loud, encouraging, a true leader in a sense. Jameer Brickus, small guard, another small guard, but has this confidence about himself from Philadelphia. So, they always had that, when it comes to basketball, they always had that type of confidence. And then Josh Nickelberry, who's a transfer. I can't think off the top of my head where he transferred from. I want to say Fordham. It might have been Fordham. But very, very, very good kid. He can score the ball. Looks to score every time he touches it. And we'll get into a little bit of some of that later. But he really likes to fill it up, and he definitely has the capability to do so as well. So let's get into VCU. We're coming into this game riding a 4-game win streak after handling Navy last Wednesday. And my issue coming into this game would have been, the fact that we haven't played since last Wednesday. That's a lot of time to be taken off. You got the Christmas break in between that. Then you got to come back, get refocused. Sometimes it's easier said than done. And VCU already has an issue with slow starts. So I was aware of that, and I already knew in my head that this was going to be a slow start to the game. Just because that's what history shows us. They could be a little bit sluggish or whatever. And then with the injuries and the line change ups, VCU also did a really good job of finding a way to build confidence amongst the other guys. And I don't say other guys as in and just credit to them, because especially on the college level, every single person plays a factor in winning, no matter if that includes scoring or not. So I don't mean to discredit that, but we look at Josh Banks and him not being able to get any minutes early on, and then him being able to step in and get quality minutes when he was called on, that was very important. And I think that VCU did a really good job of installing and allowing players to find themselves, to find their confidence. And I mean that for as a team, we found our style of play, our defense, we take more pride in it, and just individually as well. So speaking of rules for the game, we discussed this team and how they had an opportunity to face adversity a bunch of times, and how that may have impacted their growth as well. Sometimes if you've never been through hard times, it's hard to grow. And we understand. I mean, we all understand. We still have a long way to go to get a finished product. But we're taking steps in the right direction. So let's get into the game and how it went. Starting off, just as expected, another slow, sluggish start for VCU. You wanted to defend coming out the gate. You know that LaSalle has these three guards that really want to get it going, and I thought early on we did a really poor job of sticking to that and really trying to shut those guards down. A lot of the times, what happened early in the game was Josh Nickelberry was able to get hot. I think he had maybe 10 to 12 points in the first 10 minutes of the game. And his game is very, very, very simple. But his capability in his understanding of playing within himself, he does a really good job. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you look at his game and how he scored, for those who are going to go back and visit the game, he really doesn't like to put the ball on the ground. I mean, he might do 1-2 dribble to a spot, but that's on on a closeout or something like that. But other than that, he's catching it. He's gonna jab you. He's gonna, he might give you a pump fake or something like that, and then shoot it. That's what he wants to do. So for me, as a defender back in the day, I would always take what they would want to do and try to make them do something other than that. So with Nickelberry, I felt like we gave him a little bit too much space early on, and that's kind of how he was able to get his rhythm. But in order to do that, in order to take away his game, you really want to be there on the catch. You want to crowd the space and influence him to the baseline, where you have the baseline as a defender, and you also have your help side coming from the opposite block. So I felt like we should have did that a little bit more early on. And that's kind of how he got going. And LaSalle came to play. Overall, they really came to play. Of course, with the three guards, but also LaSalle played Howard 2 days. This game was on Saturday, so they played on Thursday in DC area. You know what I mean? So they had like a tune-up. Their energy and juices were already flowing. And it kind of works, it kind of weighs itself out and balances itself out. So LaSalle's going to come into this game already loose, already have their body back into college basketball game condition. However, they just played 2 days ago, so later in the game, the legs are going to tire, and along with the style of play of VCU impacting that. So they got off to a hot start, led for the majority of the half. I think at the 8-minute mark, the score was 25-16, and that was the 9-point lead. I think that was the biggest lead they had. But after that, J9 gets a tough layup. I think after a missed shot in transition, and that kind of turned the tide for us. We were finally able to find our rhythm and get it going. And I'd like to give a shout out to the hype. Now calling these two the hype because they're starting to find their roles. They're very different, but when they come off the bench and they give us and provide energy in what they do, we're a completely different team. And we're so fortunate to have these two guys coming off the bench. You know what I mean? And they're still young. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to Zeb Jackson and Nick Kern. Let's start with Nick Kern. Nick Kern, of course, defensive guy. I think he's probably outside of Ace, probably our best defender, especially when it comes to guard like bigger guards and small forwards. Nick Kern brings that energy, and Nick is really found like he has a D Wade type of style of or mentality of like finding the open space and cutting, and our guys, our other guards are doing a really good job of finding him. If you look, that's why you see Nick Kern flying in for offensive rebounds from time to time. He just has good timing, and he just sees where to cut better than other guys. And with that, that like offensive rebounds gives you an opportunity. And if you don't know, there's a statistic saying that your first shot may be at like a 40%, but if you were a 40% chance of making it, but if you get that offensive rebound, it immediately doubles. You know what I mean? So Nick Kern bringing energy, just offensive rebounding, is big for us. His defense is big for us, right? Now Zeb Jackson is. I hope this game is a little sample size, and he had, of course, another game against Pitt where he showed his capability, and he's still young, so consistency is something that he's going to have to build on. It's hard. It's rare to see a young guy be consistent every single game. You know what you're going to get. But Zeb is one of these guys who could be starting other places. Maybe not here at VCU because we have an Ace Baldwin, but somewhere below, he could probably be a starter. He's super talented, super athletic, which is VCU is blessed to have a lot of athletic guys on the team. But one of the things about Zeb is he's such a humble kid, and he understands the situation he's in. So when he comes in, and I think he's starting to understand that. Don't get me wrong. I believe that's hard for a player to do, to come from a top major school or quote unquote top major school and come to VCU and come off the bench. Psychologically, that may impact people. So I think it may have caused him a little trouble early on, but now I think he's starting to find a role within this where he can still be who he wants to be and still impact the game and still contribute to winning in a fashion that he would like. I think Zeb does a really good job outside of Ace. I think he is the next best passer on our team with his ability to get into the paint and just find open guys for easy dump offs or kickouts. He does a really good job with that. I think that's very underrated for him. And another thing I think is underrated for him is his willingness to play defense. I think all of our guards can strap up. Maybe Josh tries his best, but all of our guards can strap up, and his willingness to buy into that style and his toughness and his dog that he has in him really starts to shine as he gains more confidence. So they both gave us big minutes off that. Zeb came in knocking down threes, got him a dunk early, baseline, and that's that 45-inch vert, you know what I mean? And then probably the shot of the game that kind of changed everything was, VCU got a defensive stop. Zeb Jackson comes down. I think we're down 1. He comes down, shoots a deep 3 at the buzzer, buckets at half, and that puts us up 2. And then from there, we never really looked back. We had the lead for the remainder of the game. So we're really fortunate to have those 2 guys coming off the bench. I mean, you'll like some schools, you'll see the drop off. You'll see the drop off once the stars go out. Now, granted, Ace is still ahead of our snake, so our offense may be stagnant at times when he's not there. But I believe that's only going to improve as time goes on. As time goes on, the influence, if Jay Nunn and Zeb Jackson could just soak up some of the game that Ace has, you know what I mean, and I think that's bound to happen. It's going to be is going to help exponentially with our game moving forward in the conference. So like I said, the second half was majority handled by us. We led by at least 2 possessions for the majority of the half. Ace Baldwin's stellar play, encouraged by a friendly battle with Brickus. I'm not sure if anybody knew this, but I'm not even sure of the connection for real. But Ace Baldwin and Jameer Brickus had some type of history where they may have played against each other, played with each other back in the day. Now I just assumed that because I just seen the interaction between them. Ace would be guarding them, pulling them up the court, and I seen them exchanging labs and competitive fire, but it's still like a friendly fire. And you can tell that. I mean, I can recognize it because I had it with Mike Morrison at George Mason in my years. So it's real, recognized real. So I definitely saw that. But yeah, he wanted to perform extremely well, and I could tell that it was something extra motivating him. But yeah, he played like through the roof. With his ability to make threes, I think he had 4 on the night. And then time after time, just with beautiful dimes and penetrating the paint. Even if it wasn't him actually getting the assist, the hockey assist, like one of the best plays of the night, Ace gets the steal. He makes a left-handed bounce pass across the court deep to Zeb Jackson. Zeb could have went up for a contested layup, but instead he shared it as well with the behind-the-back pass to Jameer for the flush. Now, when we play that style of basketball where everybody's being unselfish and we're going for the best shot that we can get, we are a tough team to beat. And I don't say that just as a VCU fan, but we have individuals that can go get their bucket, right? Their own bucket. But when we play with that cohesiveness and our defense being stingy as it is, and our offense pressing on people and crashing on the rim like waves, it's hard for people to counter attack that. Like how do you even like? It's hard. We have so many different options now. That it's hard to wreck. It's hard to see where you're gonna like. Okay, you want to shut Ace down. Ace doesn't have to score to be impactful. We got Jalen Deloach playing out of his mind. I think if he hasn't had a double-double in the last 4 or 5 games, he's been pretty damn close to it. Brandon Johns, who was our lead scorer, he still might be now, but I think it's like they're all relatively close. Ace may be the leading scorer, but he only played a micro size of games compared to everybody else. But Brandon Johns has been hurt, but before that, he's the leading scorer, and he can pass on. He can pass out of the post. He can score in the post. He can extend to the 3. And then Jameer Watkins is a 6'7" guard who loves to put pressure on the rim, can catch and shoot. And then you still have Jaden Nunn, who sometimes he'll be there offensively, sometimes he won't, but he has the capability of giving you 20 to 25 a night, or any given night. So it's really hard for teams to just lock in on one person for us. We're a really, really deep team. So later in the game, we had a little bit of chippiness towards the end. And I think it started early on in the game. Both teams coming to this really wanting to win. Like I said, Salle just had a character building win over Howard, and they're coming into this game with a lot of confidence, and they're thinking that this game should go a certain type of way. And VCU was just wasn't having it. So the chirping started happening. The chippiness, the fouls got a little rougher. The referees tried to calm it down by calling some fouls, slowing the pace up a little bit. But how things were going, it was inevitable. And we talked about this earlier. I can't remember exactly what game that was, but it's basically when you're up double digits on a team and you don't want to put your foot on the gas and embarrass them, that's unsportsmanlike. But then it comes a time where the other team's playing so hard still that, okay, now I have to go score. I can't sit here and not play my game when you're still trying to impose your will on us, even though we feel the game is already out of reach. So if you can recall, LaSalle was still pressing with like under a minute left, being down 10. VCU's trying to hold the ball and just kind of run some clock. You know what I mean? But LaSalle's playing hard. Ace Baldwin gets the ball across half after they had some success in the backcourt with some steals, just making it hard for VCU to get it across. Ace Baldwin gets it across, and Hassan Drame, one of the twins for LaSalle. Oh, just FYI, or if you didn't know, Fusini Drame, who played on LaSalle, was a transfer from St. Peter's when he went on their run to the Elite Eight. Elite Eight of Sweet 16 a couple years back, or was it last year? It might have been last year. And he transferred to LaSalle to join his brother. So just a little FYI. But back to the foul. He reaches for the ball. He kind of goes for the ball, but it's a really hard foul for 30 seconds left in the game. Deloach, who's been chirping with Drame basically the whole night, runs over and approaches him in regards to that. Like, yo, basically you need to chill. But you know what I mean. On one hand, he's playing hard. But on the other hand, the game's already out of hand. So how do you navigate that? How does one show sportsmanship when all that is on the line? So yeah, but even though it was was it distasteful? Was it competitive? I don't know. You make the call. Y'all let me know in the comments. LaSalle fought hard to the very end. I can't knock them, but VCU pulls out a win, 80-67, improving their record. I think improving the record to on the spread to like 2 or 3-9. So let's get into these stats. LaSalle, Josh Nickelberry, 21 points, 6 rebounds. I'm pretty sure he had 14 in the first half. So he only scored 7 in the second half, so we did a better job of containing him. Jameer Brickett, 16 points, 4 rebounds. Hit a couple threes, but we did a pretty good job of neutralizing him in the second half as well. For VCU, Ace Baldwin, 19 points, 6 assists. Probably could have had more. Jaden Deloach, 14 points, 3 rebounds. Again, repeating the stellar play that he's been doing. And he, like I said, he's playing within himself, and it's really starting to show. All the hard work he put in the offseason is really coming to fruition. So let's talk about the low-key player of the game. The low-key player of the game is my man, Zeb Jackson. Zeb Jackson provided numerous highlight plays in this game. Immediately came in and gave the team energy, sent the team into the half with a big 3, providing energy, guarded up, and just played really good throughout this game. And hopefully he can keep that going, because if he can, then that adds a whole different layer to VCU's success. It's almost like when we had Trey Clark. So let's get to moving forward. Tomorrow we have a game at Duquesne, who's 11-4 right now. They lost to Dayton, but beat Rhode Island. And it was a comfortable win for Dayton, but it wasn't a blowout. So they're 1-1 in the conference. This is a very capable team. This is a very, very capable team. So, and this is a return. Trey Clark. We get to see Trey Clark in action, playing against VCU, not in the black and gold anymore. I circled this a long time ago. Check my history on my Instagram. And if you don't, follow In the Kitchen 50 on Instagram. But But the return of Trey Clark, I circled this a long time ago. I think the matchup is going to be amazing. I think Trey Clark's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And he's going to be ready to play. And he's going to want some vengeance. Even though the circumstances that or why he left wasn't clear. It wasn't a basketball decision. It was a university decision. However, when you return somewhere you were, you still want to put on a show and put your best foot forward. So I'm expecting big things from him, but I'm also expecting big things from VCU. This is our first true away game, well, especially in the conference. And it's going to be one to see. Duquesne's feeling really good about himself, even though they lost to Dayton. I follow their page. They're very confident. They think that they can win. And also, if you look at the odds on ESPN, they're slightly favored in this game. And that's possible because, VCU's consistency at times and the hot streak that they are that Duquesne's in. Our records are relatively similar, but the feel is different because one, the spread, the inconsistencies, the injuries that VCU has sustained. But now that we're starting to find our offense and our defense is, we get more into our defense and with the pressing and all, it's going to be really exciting to see. This is definitely going to be a game to watch. And I also have something coming up very special for all the fans within Richmond. I got something special coming up. So stay tuned. It may not happen for the Duquesne game, but it's definitely going to happen coming up within the next few weeks to build some camaraderie and really get the Ramley back to being a big Ramley. So yeah, man, thank you for letting me cook. Please leave a comment so we can discuss some things. Until next time, peace.